I'd wager the people of Britain are not having an amazing day. These are two clips. We played one earlier. It's worth repeating. It's only 18 seconds long. That perfectly synopsised the shitstorm that is Brexit. This is Christian Gurumurthy of Channel 4.
Burko, well, the Conservative MP Ben Bradley is in the House of Commons. He voted to remain, then became a Brexiteer, then voted against the deal, then voted for the deal, then said he'd struggle to back the deal again, but now says he will back the deal. Ben Bradley, why do you get to change your mind?
I haven't changed my mind.
This is Nick Watt, broadcaster, describing an interaction he had with a member of Parliament.
In Cabinet, I am picking up complete and utter despair. I said to one Cabinet Minister, why is the Prime Minister holding a vote when she's pretty sure that she's going to lose? And using very strong language, this Cabinet Minister said to me, "Fuck knows, I'm past caring. It's like the living dead in here."
Oh, God.
Mick Fealty, editor of Slugger O'Toole, is on the line. He's going to attempt to, even with his great skill, it might be problematic and troublesome, attempt to break down what's going on in Brexit today as we stand. Mick, hello, sir.
How you doing, Owen? How you doing?
I'm well. What's going on?
Quite a tall order. Well, look, I think if you look at the front page of The Economist magazine this week, it just says it all. The title is The Scilly Isles, and it's got a map, an old-fashioned map of Britain on one side, Northern Ireland as an island, so it excludes the Republic on the other side, and it's got things like it's got places like Balls Up, Pandemonium, Flummox, absolutely rock all is what they're calling rock all on that, chaos for London, and that pretty much is where Britain is at the moment. Completely confused. There's no consensus as to what to do. There's no consensus as to how we got here, and there is no consensus about how to move forward from this point onwards.
So is the only real option left that Theresa May has to either resign or call a general election?
Well, if you take those two separately, calling a general election is what a lot of people in the cabinet, the cabinet, want to do. What, of course, is putting the fear of God into them is that the last time Theresa May called a general election, she went from having an outright majority to being a minority government with the help of the DUP. And, of course, the DUP now, because it puts the union ahead of Brexit, Brexit is would like to have, but it is not as fundamental to the Democratic Unionists as the Union. They've gone rogue and they can't rely on them. So what guarantee does the Conservative government have that it wouldn't end up in exactly the same position as it was before, or worse, put Jeremy Corbyn's Labour Party in ahead of them? So on that one thing, I think it's impossible. If she goes, again, as The Economist says in its editorial today, things are pretty bad now, but her going would leave a vacuum and it wouldn't be clear who exactly would take her place, and that might even exacerbate the chaos that we've got already.
There's a lot of talk about Boris Johnson. He had been dead set against any deal Theresa May posed, and then all of a sudden, when she says she would resign if they back her deal, he's like, "Oh, I love your deal, it's wonderful." Is he the snake in the long grass that needs to be watched out for?
Well, certainly, if you look at the Betfair ratings at the moment, he's up there. Michael Gove, his bet noir, his one-time partner in the Brexit campaign, and then love rival, if you like, immediately afterwards. They're number 1 and 2 at the moment, very close in terms of the odds.
Do people not hate Boris Johnson, though, now? Have they not seen through his act?
Look, everyone who voted Remain hates Boris Johnson. But the truth is, where he gets really big bucks in terms of political capital is in those Labour voting northern Brexit constituencies in the north, because they like his plain speaking. There's something Shakespearean about him, that they kind of like that directness that, in a way, Corbyn doesn't have and the political class don't have. So he would certainly mix it up more than May's damp squib in 2017 did. But at the end of the day, what you get is Boris and his raw ambition to be Prime Minister. Whether he has the trust of the Conservative Party, I'm not entirely convinced that would be the case.
And finally, what do you think? What impact is this going to have on the old Anglo-Irish relations?
Well, it's been pretty dire up to now, and I don't see it getting any better. And that goes both ways. Every time somebody like Boris or even worse, Jacob Rees-Mogg, who's never sat in the cabinet, who's never had any governmental responsibility, and yet every time he opens his mouth with Irish or the audiences, it sends blood pressure absolutely sky high. That's been damaging that way, but there's also been a trail of invective, I think, particularly coming out of Dublin, which has kind of soured the relationship, not so much with London and Dublin, because London doesn't really hear much outside the M25, but certainly in the relationships, I think, north and south, where the Unionists, I think, have been particularly sensitive to the tone shift that's come between Enda Kenny and then the immediate shift with Leo Varadkar. And I think when you think that Northern Ireland has had no democracy for over 2 years now, putting that back together in the context of this is going to be very, very difficult indeed.
Do you think this time next week Theresa May will be Prime Minister? Final question.
I will consult my astrologer and I shall get back to you as soon as I possibly can.
Yes or no?
I think she probably will be, because there isn't anybody else to take the place.
Okay, I tell you, it's impossible to get your head around, but that was a very valiant stab. Mick Fealty, editor of Slugger O'Toole. We appreciate the time. Thank you very much.
Thanks for asking me. Cheers.